Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend's younger siblings move in with us? Plus update. My boyfriend Eric, 26 male, and I, 25 female, recently moved in together. And by moved in together, I mean he moved into the home that I own outright, which I inherited from my grandmother. We live in a high cost of living area, and Eric's lease was up, and he was struggling to find a place he could afford. He asked to move in with me, and I hesitantly agreed. We've been dating for just under a year, and I feel like it was a little too soon. But since I can see a future with Eric, I agreed. Eric's family situation is a bit of a mess. His dad is in prison and his mother is an addict. Eric has 3 younger half-siblings, 12 male, 8 female, and 6 male. This week, they were removed from the home because his mom's boyfriend was violating the girl. The kids are sleeping on his aunt's floor right now because there's a shortage of foster homes in the area. And she can't keep them because she lives in a 2-bedroom apartment with her 2 kids. So from how it was described, the kids are going to be split up and sent to different foster homes/group homes. Eric's mother denies her boyfriend's actions and won't leave him because he pays the rent and buys her drugs basically. Eric wants me to agree to let the kids move in with us, and we raise them basically. I've known him for less than a year, and I've never met these kids. I feel bad for their situation, but I don't want to be responsible for someone else's kids. Even having them in my home would be a huge burden. Not to mention Eric doesn't make much money and can't afford to support them. I would have to support them. The government will only offer financial support for caring for them if he becomes a licensed foster parent, which is a lengthy process that he doesn't have time for. We've been fighting about this for the past 2 days, and I think our relationship is over either way. He thinks I'm a monster for letting his siblings go into foster care, but I think that what he's asking of me is way too much for someone you've been with less than a year. I absolutely do not want these kids in my home. I'm not willing to compromise on it. I know it wouldn't work out, and I don't want to have to evict him and his 3 siblings. Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. You're the a-hole. You should and can do something, but your ego is too big for empathy and compassion. What a total heartless crap show this comment section has become. At the least you could do is help your boyfriend find a place to move so he can take his siblings. Grow a heart and develop a conscience before it's too late. Adversely, if this was a post about puppies or kittens, everyone would be all about helping them. Unreal. How would you suggest I help him find a place? I helped his apartment search when he was looking for a studio, and there were very few available on his budget. How should I find a 3-bed for the price of one of the cheapest studios? Not a-hole, but I can see why you are so conflicted. Merely the fact that you have enough space isn't the appropriate deciding factor here. You and Eric don't have nearly the right foundation to take on 3 kids. That will most definitely need extra attention. You weren't even 100 about letting Eric move in to begin with. I am so sorry for those kids, but I have to agree with you that you can't and shouldn't be asked to take this on. Eric is welcome to have his feelings about your refusal, and this may end your relationship. But better to lose a man you've been with for a year than take on 3 children you will be responsible for that are not your responsibility. This, definitely not the a-hole. Already hesitant about letting the boyfriend move in, neither of them are yet equipped to raise young ones. There are a lot of ways to support them besides having them move in. The way this situation is going, it sounds like you will soon have a temporary roommate and no longer have a boyfriend. Don't do it. You are right to be hesitant to let him move in. He should get a better paying job, or get 2 jobs and get his own place. Once he gets his own place, he can apply to be the foster parent. There are lots of big brothers/sisters raising their siblings who are struggling, but they make it work. On a side note, addicted mother will be over to visit and asked to spend a night/a few weeks/a few months. No a-holes here, but I think it really depends on if you are all in for him or not. If you are all in and this is the person you want to marry, I would personally do it. On the stipulation that he becomes licensed, so y'all can get the foster parent money. But it sounds like you are not all in, so it's probably a good idea to end things now. For what it's worth, I hope he's able to get those kids. A kinship placement with someone who loves you really cannot be replicated in foster care. He's a great guy, I just don't think he's worth it. There's plenty of guys out there who have similar qualities, but won't expect me to support and raise 3 children I've never met. I wish the best for them all, but their future was never going to be with me. Not a-hole. My heart goes out to those kids. I totally understand him not wanting the kids to go into foster care, but this isn't your situation to clean up. Asking you to basically change your life to emotionally and financially support 3 kids that you don't know is a lot. His best bet is to work with your social worker and make time to start the guardianship process. I feel bad for him, but if he doesn't live with me, he won't be able to take them. They're just staying with the aunt for a few days, but for a family member to take actual custody of them, the social workers want them to have at least 2 open bedrooms, one for the boys and one for the girl. Eric can barely afford a studio, so I know he has no chance of being able to afford a 3-bedroom place in the area, which is why I feel really bad for the kids. They think their brother is going to come get them. Mini update. Okay guys, things didn't go as planned. The general consensus was that I'm not in the wrong, and I do agree. I showed him this post, and he flipped out on me. He packed his bags and is staying in a hotel room. We've broken up basically. I feel terrible for his situation, and that of his siblings. I think people in the comments have pegged him for some kind of broke mooch, but is actually incredibly hardworking and kind. I don't envy his position, and he lashed out because he's stressed and upset. He gave me back my key and he won't be coming back. And that's the end of it, I guess. I'm sure a lot of you will be happy to hear that. I'm sad, but it's probably what's best for us. Next story. Am I the a-hole for evicting sister for stealing my kids' savings? My sister, who is 37, has been staying with me for a little over a month now. She got evicted from the extended stay where she had been staying for a year now. My wife and I decided she could stay with us while she looked for shelter or housing options. She only works 30 hours a week at a low-paying job and doesn't have any money. She was supposed to be looking diligently, but was barely putting in any effort. So my patience was already wearing a little thin before this incident. I don't want her to be homeless, but I want her to show some effort. Last night, my wife noticed her change jar was almost empty. She asked my son and I if we had taken any change. We both hadn't. My son is 9 but would just ask for money. So it was pretty obvious it was my sister. She denied it, and I kind of just stewed on it. I'm not the best at communicating my feelings sometimes. My wife calls me today upset about the findings last night. She asks me to check my son's piggy bank because she's afraid it's been pillaged as well. He's had it since he was 2, and there was probably $300 or so in it. I get home and check it, and it's empty besides a few pennies. I saw freaking red. I can't believe it. I'm shaking so mad. My wife and I converse about what we're going to do, and then call her into the living room and confront her. There's just no holding back my rage. I screamed at her. How dare she steal from my son while she's staying under my roof? I honestly don't remember the last time I've been this upset. I asked my wife to go get her a few nights at a hotel, but she's gotta go. I just can't have her here. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out knowing she'll be homeless in a few days? We fed her, drove her, and just were very supportive of her while she was here. Part of me feels super guilty. I know screaming is not an effective way to communicate, and maybe I shouldn't have made such a quick decision. This happened to me. The child seeing that you stood up for them will mean everything to them. I got my very first job and had my mom come to my room to watch me put my first paycheck in my piggy bank because I was so proud. Later that night, I told my mom I wanted to take her to dinner and pay for it to celebrate. I can't even describe how upset I was to find that my piggy bank was empty. I even grabbed a flashlight thinking it got lodged somewhere in the bank. Nope. My stepfather had stolen the money for weed, and my mom confronted him at his friend's house where he was buying the stuff and got the money back. For real, my sister stole probably close to $2,000 from me when we both lived at home, and my dad would always say I must have lost it, or that I spent it and forgot. You know how you do when you come home at midnight from babysitting, but when you wake up all that's left is $5? You must have been wrong about how much you had. Anyway, I don't talk to my dad. My mother used to encourage my older sister to take my pay when I was 15 years old, washing dishes in a restaurant to pay for my own toiletries and clothes because my mother certainly wasn't going to buy me anything. It's horrible having bullies as your only family. Thieves steal and will steal again. I 1000% concur with the poster below. Put a credit hold on all your accounts, change your credit and debit card numbers, change all your passwords as well on the computer. Heck, even change your Netflix and other accounts. If she would steal from a 9-year-old, she will steal from you and your wife without any hesitation. Once she's gone, change all the locks on your house. We want to love family and give them the benefit of the doubt, but she's proven she isn't to be trusted. Protect your wife and son, your family. You did not overreact in my opinion, and it wasn't a quick decision. It was a firm and resolute decision based on your morals and your determination to protect your family. Your sister has shown she has no respect for you or your family and zero gratitude for what you try to do for her, which means she'll take more from you and harm you again if given the opportunity. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Very concerned she is using substances or has another vice. People don't steal like this when they aren't desperate. Money for a bus doesn't require stealing. I mean, she's working 30 hours a week without paying anything at their house. Let's assume that she's earning the absolute bare minimum I've seen any job these days, $10. That's still about $1,000 after taxes per month. She isn't paying a car or car insurance since they said they were driving her around. So she likely only has a phone bill. So where is the other $920-ish going every month? She likely has an addiction to some drug that the family isn't aware of or actively ignoring because they don't want to admit it. Without solving the underlying drug issue, she will never be able to obtain permanent housing or keep up with rent payments if she does. Kick her butt out. She doesn't need your help anymore. She needs rehab, and if she won't go to rehab, her own choices will determine her life, and she has no one else to blame. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my wealthier sister the lion's share of the inheritance? Yesterday, my parents had me 31 male, my 2 brothers 32 and 34, and my sister 41 down to discuss their will. My parents informed us that they want to split it 5 ways. My sister gets 2/5, while the 3 of us brothers get 1/5 each. Their reasoning is that my sister sacrificed her childhood for our family, so it's only fair she gets compensated. In our childhood, my father's business partner screwed him over, so there was a period where we were broke and in debt. My parents had to work multiple jobs to keep us afloat, and my sister babysat us while our parents worked. All she had to do was feed us and keep an eye on us. We were pretty calm kids, so all we did was play games and do our homework. It probably wasn't thrilling, but not exactly a tremendous hardship. I complained to my parents, along with my brothers, that it's insane they want to give my sister 2/5 of the inheritance over that, especially since she's financially the best off out of all of us. She doesn't have any kids, and a dual income with her partner. My parents said they're disappointed in us, and said we need to reflect on ourselves. My sister didn't say anything while my parents spoke, but texted us afterwards that she had zero intention of taking 2/5, but we were a-holes. Am I the a-hole for feeling like this split is unfair? Info. Are you and your brothers struggling financially, or just not as comfortable as your sister? You've talked about her advantages, basically being a dink. Do you and your brothers have financial disadvantages that are preventing you from being more successful? My brothers and I all have children that eat up a lot of our income. My wife and I both work, but the general costs of living means we're just staying afloat. My sister also benefited from having hardship/academic scholarships, so had minimal student debt. We didn't have the same access to scholarships as our parents' income had improved by the time we went to college. How much did your parents help you and your brothers with college? I'm assuming they didn't have the means to help your sister. As the 3 of us were in college roughly the same time, our parents could only afford to pay for day-to-day costs like rent, but couldn't help pay for our degrees. Did they do the same for your sister? If not, then that's even more reason why their decision makes sense. The fact that she qualified for hardship/academic scholarships is irrelevant. How isn't it relevant? She saved way more money than us through those scholarships. She was able to go to a more prestigious college than us for pennies because of those scholarships and gave her a huge leg up in her work. We couldn't even consider going to out-of-state colleges because of loans. Yordi Aol, even if she just stayed at home while you were there, she didn't have teenage freedom, and she made sacrifices and took on responsibilities. It doesn't matter how affluent she is now. Your parents are trying to pay her back for what they couldn't pay her then. Yordi Aol, your failure to make as much as her isn't your parents' problem. Plus, those years could be a major factor why she chose not to have kids or doesn't have kids yet. She already raised her siblings. Yordi Aol. Yordi Aol, not many parents are willing to acknowledge that they parentified a child. Your sister sacrificed her teenage years to help your parents take care of you. There may not have been any inheritance at all for you to quibble over, if not for her unpaid labor back then. To put a finer point on it, the sister didn't sacrifice her childhood. The parents stole her childhood. A child did not volunteer to watch her 3 brothers. How many years was the sister babysitting to make the parents feel guilty enough to leave her a whole extra share? How old was she when it started? And OP, don't for a minute downplay what your sister did. That alone makes you an ungrateful a-hole. I don't condone or excuse the parentification, but it was because of your sister that you had food on the table and your parents were able to get back on their feet. You want to reap the benefits of your parents' hard work and success without thought to how they got there. Maybe she would have also liked playing games too instead of watching you. Maybe she would have liked going out her friends and spending time with them instead of 3 little brothers. Maybe she had enough of watching children for a lifetime, and that's why she's child-free. Your entitled attitude is pretty gross.